Hello, my name is Nahomi López, and I'm going to talk about a very interesting video of TED Talks. Name it Why Women Stay Silent After Sexual Assault by Ines Herkovich. First of all, we have to talk about Ines. This woman is a pioneer in the study of sexual violence against women. And now I'm gonna tell you why I chose this topic or this video. Well, I chose this because for me, it's so important to let the world know that women day to day suffer different types of abuse and violence. But most of the time, they prefer to shut down and don't say anything, just because the fear that anybody is going to believe it, or because they think they can be more abusive just because in our society we live in a patriarchy. And commonly, women are not heard or we are just ignored. It's difficult to talk about this topic because we all know some cases of sexual assault where the woman decides to be quiet and then reclaim. And sometimes we can say that the woman is dumb or whatever, but we can't give an opinion if we don't know how it feels. That's why it's necessary to talk about it, because unfriendly it's a factor which all the women suffered at least one time in her life. Sexual assault is an act in which a person intentionally sexually touches another person without that person's consent, or coerces or physically force a person to engage in a sexual act against their will. It is a form of sexual violence which includes rape, groping, child sexual abuse, or the torture of the person in a sexual manner. Well, generally, sexual assault is defined as an unweighted sexual contact. As I said, sexual assault takes many forms, including attacks such as rape or attempt of rape, as well as any unwanted sexual contact or threats. Sexual assaults can also be verbal, visual, or non-contact. That means that you don't need to a man or another person touch you to be considered a sexual assault. Just with an offense or whatever, it can be considered. It is anything that forces a person to join in unwanted sexual activity or attention. Other examples can include voyeurism or vaping. That is when someone watches private sexual acts without consent. Exhibitionism is when some person expose himself or herself in public just to other people watch it. Other example can be sexual harassment or threats, and forcing someone to pose for sexual pictures. And the last one example can be sending someone unwanted text or sexes. That means that is like texting sexual photos or message that you don't want to do it. Usually, sexual assault occurs when someone touches any part of another person's body in a sexual way, even thought clothes without the person's consent. It is most often committed by someone the victim knows. This may be a friend, an acquaintance, an ex, a relative, a date, or a partner. Less often, a stranger commits sexual assault. Women and men commit sexual assaults, but more than 90% of people who commit sexual violence against women are men. In the United States, the definition of sexual assault varies widely among the individual states. However, in most states, sexual assault occurs when there is a lack of consent from one of the individual involved. That was I mentioned at the beginning. This consent must take place between two adults who are not incapacitated and can change during any time during the sexual act. That means that the sexual act just can be done by two adults that are conscious of what they are doing. If one of them are not, that it's considered as sexual assault. This type of abuse can occur in children too and women. But this time we are going to concentrate in women sexual assault, which can have a lot of emotional effects. These kind of effects can include denial, learning helplessness, xenophobia, anger, self-blame, anxiety, shame, nightmares, fears, and one of the most difficult is depression, because depression can cause another emotional effect. Other emotional effects can be like flashbacks, guilt, rationalization, mood swings, numbness, promiscuity, loneliness, social anxiety, difficult trusting oneself or others, and difficult to concentrate. Being the victim of sexual assault may lead to the development of post-traumatic stress disorder, addiction, major depressive disorder, or other psychopathologies. That means that if you in a point of your life you suffer kind of abuse, at the time you may not be conscious of what happened, but in the future you're going to have some effects like the one that I mentioned. The one of the most important and difficult can be addiction, because you know that an addiction can open a door to die. But family and friends experience emotional scaring, including a strong desire for revenge, a desire to fix the problem and or move on, and rationalization that it wasn't that bad. That means that many times, if you suffer any kind of problems, maybe your friends or family could say that it wasn't too bad to have that reaction. But as I said at the beginning, we can give an opinion of this topic or another topic if we don't feel it or we don't have that experience in our lives. But the point of the video is to talk about why the women who experience sexual assault rarely speak up about it. That is because they fear they won't be believed, say Ines Herkovich. At the same time, she said that it is because when a woman tells us what happened to her, she tells us things we can imagine, things that disturb us, things we don't expect to hear, things that shock us. In the moving talk, she takes us inside an encounter with sexual assault to give us a clear idea of what this situation really looks like and the difficult choice women make to survive. After a sexual assault, you may feel fear, shame, guilt, or shock. All these feelings are normal, and each survivor can feel a different range of emotion at different times in the recovery progress. That means that, as I said, the symptoms or yes, the symptoms may not appear at the time, may appear in the future, I don't know, like 10 years later, 5 years later. And sexual assault is never your fault. That's so important. It might be frightening to think about talking about assault, but it's important to get help. Nowadays, it's very difficult to talk about this topic because day to day the sexual assault increase and increase. But I consider that it's time to make a change. It's time to support all the women who are abused and believe it in her. You can help a friend or family member who was sexually assaulted by listening, offering comfort. Remind this person you believe them. Reinforce the message that she or he is not at fault. A victim never caused sexual assault or asked for it. You can also explain that it's natural to experience confusion, have problems remembering what happened, or feel angry, numb, or ashamed. Ask the person whether she to would like you to go with her to the hospital or the counseling. If she decides to report the crime to the police, ask whether she would like to go with her. Let her know that she can get help. Let her know about the hotlines to go to talk to someone. And the most important advice that I consider is to never, never, never be quiet of an sexual assault. Thank you.